It is a brand new edition of Hockey and Hounds brought to you by Ticketmaster. Make more memories live. Great to be back with the head coach, John Tortorella. We got good news on a dog. We've got another dog that we need to find a home for, but I want to start here. I want to thank you for your very nice note that you sent me last week when I had to miss. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we're just hoping you're okay.
Yeah, we're on the mend, and we're going to get there for sure.
Sucks getting old, doesn't it?
Oh, my parents told me not to. I should have listened, right? I want to kind of start really with you, though, at a 30,000-foot view. When you and I sat in that room a couple of years ago when you were named, you had brought up that this whole organization needs to bring up the standard in all facets. There was things going on the business side. There was just a lot of things that you cited at that time, medical.
Oh, God, yeah.
And you're not going anywhere with all of that stuff kind of just pulling at you. But I see a team and an organization now that's handled some complicated situations and bringing players over. That's handled having to call guys up and they're coming in and they're performing. What's your assessment from 30,000 view organizationally what's happened since you've been here?
Yeah, we have done and I just repeat myself, when you're building throughout the organization, not just the hockey team, some of the main parts of building is subtracting first. It's, trying to get the right people on the bus. I think that has been a really big part of getting this foundation laid, and it's certainly not to run down any of the people that have left or been fired or whatever the situation, but you have to make decisions that way. I think we're on the right track. I think we subtracted at the right time. I think we subtracted personnel that just didn't fit at this time and where this organization is, and now we're trying to grow it. I think we're on the right track. I know at my end of it, style of play is very important. After we subtracted and got the people, style of play has been brought in as far as the people that we have brought in. It has to work together, you know, and I think we have found more consistency with that. So I'm in a real positive frame of mind as far as just the whole organization, Hilferty down. I don't know the Comcast people, don't have much ties in with them or dealings with them, but from Dan Hilferty down, I know we're on the same page. I know we know there's going to be pitfalls. We know there's a lot more work to be done. But the fun part for me and the most intriguing and I think the best part for me is that we're wide open with one another. We tell each other what's on our mind. I think the truth is there. There's no agendas. If you start whispering to other people about this and that and not to the person you should be talking to, that's when it just falls apart. Yeah. And long-winded answer, but I think it deserves that type of talk on it. From Hilf down, we're wide open and honest and trying to help one another build this the proper way.
Torts, I mean, to quote Aretha Franklin, it's all about RESPECT. It's all about respect of all of those people and all of those departments. Because if you don't have that, it can literally fracture everything.
Yeah, and I think there's some strong personalities here, right? But I think you need to be a good listener too, and because other people have ideas, and
you got to be open to them.
Absolutely, and that's what's been great about it. And I think we got a manager here that's got some balls, isn't afraid to make tough decisions, and I think he's wide open for communication. That's as many organizations I've been involved in, sometimes it falls apart when you're just not communicating.
Yeah.
And you're kind of pointing fingers and instead of challenging people. And I think we challenge one another, and it's been a blast. We've been beat up. We've been punched. Yep. We're going to get kicked again. We have found our way a little bit here for the past few weeks, but there's going to be other problems with this here as we keep going. It's just a matter of staying together through those hard times, and easy to be together when things are going well. Yeah. The true test of what leadership is and what an organization is when it's flying around. Yeah. And that's what's been great. I think everybody's been steady through some tough times this year.
Torts, you don't have a week like you guys just had. And it was a busy week of hockey, 4-6, 5-8, and some tough battles in there. Yeah. Played some good hockey, didn't play some good hockey and got good results. Yeah. But you don't get those results if those things that you just talked about are happening.
Yeah.
And if that team is starting to point fingers at each other when things weren't going well in the beginning of the year, you don't have a week like you just had.
No. And
no way.
It's the player's game, right?
Mm-hmm.
As managers, you can be together and all the things I said that I think is really positive here. But when it comes down to it's the player's game, and that room is solid. That's what I mean. I live down there. I don't spend too much time up here. I live down there. I watch that room. That room is solid, and that's why you get through some tough times. And there's going to be more. We've won some games here, but there's going to be more stuff going on, and that's what you rely on. And it's not the coaches being around much in that room right now. It's them taking care of it. So that's a really positive step in the growth of this organization.
And you've got guys that have really elevated into that, the glue guys down there that play a prominent role in this team. Talk about just the confidence you have. You guys had to dip into Lehigh Valley a few times. You bring up Anthony Richard. You hated sending him back, but it's a numbers game. You had to dip in and bring Emil Andre up. You're 10-2 or 1 in his game since he's been here. To be able to pull down there, knowing those guys are being developed properly when they come here. Lixell last year is another example of that.
Gronzi. Yeah.
I mean, you keep going down. You keep going to the well, and you're pulling up stuff that works.
And you talk about the team, you talk about management here with the NHL level. Then you got Lappy, AMAC down there, and there's their coaching staff and their group of guys.
Jason Smith.
That are doing the work down there, preparing these guys for the National Hockey League. So, again, where we're at, where we end up, I don't know, because we're still growing and we're still in the rebuild. And I'll say it again, there's no help coming next year too, because we have issues as far as dead money, cap, and all that. And the whole organization knows that. So you go about your business and you keep building from within. And there are going to be some people that are subtracted next year as we get better and get growing and find other people down in the minors and drafts, and Luchenko may come and all that stuff that comes. But as long as the there's not a lot of there shouldn't not a lot, but there should be no backbiting. As long as you're up front with the people in front of you, then you solve the problems.
How have you managed to kind of navigate the Michkov coming over, Kolosov, who we heard he didn't want to come over, he only wanted to play in the NHL, would go back if he was going to be in the NHL, Fedotov's adjustment, like his English from 6 months ago to now, I'm stunned. He speaks better English than I do. I've been here my whole life. How have you handled that integration? Because that is not a simple one.
No, it isn't. And the goaltending, I don't get too involved with. That's kind of Dilly's job.
We're going to talk about him more.
Yeah. And I hear when players say they don't want to do this and they want to be up there, and it pisses me off. But that's the way today's athletes are, though, right? They want it right now, and they don't believe in the process and the hierarchy, everything. It pisses me off. We have Coley here. Feds is here. Feds has done his work. He did his work in the summer. Was absolutely awful his first few starts. Wasn't sure where he was going to land after that. Has come back when we've had an injury at Urs. Has played well. Coley is much more competitive. Coley has been competitive and has played well. So and Michkov is the one with me, right? That's where I'm hands on. It's been hard, but getting easier because he's beginning to learn the language. I think we have a way to communicate now. We used an interpreter for 2 or 3 times. I think I'm going to maybe look by that now, because you can use that as a little bit of a crutch, both with me and him, instead of going face to face, because we're going to have some conflict, him and I. It's 2 competitive people. And when you're that way and you're going through teaching him what it is to be a pro, what it is to be on the other side of the puck, you need to have conversations sometimes without the middle guy. So I
no buffer.
I think it's better face to face. So it takes a little bit more time. It takes it in a situation where it can't be done right away on the bench. That's what's been different for me with him. But we've got to it pretty quickly. We've got to it in between periods, and it's after a game. I get him the next day or whatever it may be. It's growing, and I give him credit. as a 19-year-old, everything thrown at him. Some things gone on as the years gone on that I've had to sit him, and we've had discussions about certain types of situations in games that he's not used to. He plays a different way that I got to teach him the other way, as I do with all the players.
Yep.
But I think it's much better now because it's me and him. And I may need to use the interpreter Slava at a certain time if I really need to be detailed in some of the things I'm saying. But I think he's beginning to understand me, and I'm beginning to understand him.
Yeah,
and
that's a process.
It is, and I love that because that's teaching. I love the teaching part of this here, and he's a pretty special guy with some special gifts.
Yeah,
but he's going to learn to play the right way too. I'll tell you right now, he's going to learn to play the right way.
Yeah,
without taking away and being away of those special gifts, and that's my challenge, and that's my job, quite honestly. As a pretty interesting guy for this organization and something that we need within this organization.
He ties Sidney Crosby and Rick Nash and I think it was Kovalchuk for the most overtime game winners as a teenager. He's got 3. He did in 23 games. Those guys, I think the shortest was 69 games. He's probably going to break that. And he had said at one point, you've got to be, through an interpreter, cold-blooded in those moments. He is cold-blooded. Do you recall any guys that you've coached along the way that just had that cold-blooded thing? Love that moment.
Yeah, there's one guy that always sticks out in my mind because he was told no for 3 or 4 years of his career that he'd never be a national hockey. It's Marty St. Louis. Yeah. And now he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Yeah. And he was, you know what? Fuck you. I'm going to show you. And
I dare you to tell me I can't.
Yeah, exactly. And Mish is a little bit different personality, but a competitive guy.
Yeah.
And he has the right type of attitude. I love seeing it because the attitudes of a player like a Mish and a Marty St. Louis or different type players. Mish certainly hasn't done the things Marty has, but just wanting to be in that moment, you can't teach that.
Yeah, you can see it on their face on the bench too, can't you? The guys that really want the moment.
Yeah, you can't teach that. And so it's good. It's good we have that in our organization as we continue to build.
One of the things a couple of years ago in 3-on-3 overtimes, you were having to put 2 defensemen on the ice so that now Couturier starts it, get possession of that puck. He goes right off the ice. You got TK, you got Michkov, and you got Sanheim.
Yeah.
And I know you love deploying that right out of the gate.
Yeah, I like to because and I wish I could play. I've done it a little bit in games. I really want to play Mish and TK a little bit together in the 5-on-5 within the game. But sometimes you get in the flow, and we've been playing okay right now, so I haven't had to go to that. I've gone to it late in the games. I just want to get them together.
Yeah,
they have no clue how to check. We're gonna work on it. The 3-on-3 checking is horrendous by those two. We're gonna work on that within this 4-day span that we have of a break. So it's kind of a flip a coin. Let's hope we don't get scored on, because if they get the puck, we have a really good chance to score.
Yeah.
But we want to especially Meach. We want to teach him a little bit of man-on-man, because that's all 3-on-3 is.
Yeah.
And
TK, follow him.
Yeah, TK's such a wingnut. He doesn't have a clue sometimes too. So, but
he makes that play.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And TK's the one who gets spanked. He's getting smoked by Thomas. Is basically going in on a breakaway.
Yeah.
TK makes a great play, desperation swipe of a puck, and sends Misha on a breakaway. That's the way it's gone for us right now with that. So. But, oh, my God, we got to figure out the other part, too. Maybe if we don't score our first chance, we're going to have to defend a little bit, too, 3-on-3.
Yeah, and there's going to be certain teams that present different challenges. I mean, you guys have gone beyond regulation 10 times in 25 games.
Yeah.
And that's almost absurd.
Yeah, and that's why we need to – I do not want to get in the way of the creativity, but we have to be better away from the puck when the other team has a 3-on-3. And I just shake my head, but then I watch other teams. I love watching 3-on-3. I think it's the best thing that's happened to hockey, quite honestly. Instead of this damn shootout, they should play 3-on-3 until you win.
Yeah.
But I watch other teams and watch some of their star players. They have no clue.
No.
And I'm not sure if they have no clue or they really don't care. They just want someone to get them the puck so they have some open ice going the other way.
Yes. Yep. That's exactly
what 3-on-3 is.
The structure goes out the window, and And no matter how much you coach it, it ain't going to matter,
Yeah,
right?
there's certain type of selective listening when you're trying to teach man-on-man, 3-on-3 defensively. I don't think they're really listening to us.
No,
So
there you go. We're just going to get it and we're going to go. Last thing before we get to our dog this week, take me inside the coach's room in between periods. Like the game on Saturday, the first period is really tight. You guys are really locking down. And then all of a sudden this game becomes a fire, as Doc Emmerich said, fire wagon hockey. There's 8 breakaways in the game.
Yeah.
And each teams are trading chances in the second and third period. And I know as a coach, you want to control as much as you can control. And that's seemingly out of your control.
Yeah.
What are you saying in that coach's room with your staff?
Yeah. I've kind of changed. I've tried to evolve and not fight it until my teeth are, I'm just grinding my teeth. I kind of meet it halfway with the group, right? Because I don't want to take away what we're doing offensively, because I think
because you are trading.
Yeah. But back in the day, 10 years ago, there's no chance we're playing that way, right? We're one of the better teams off the rush. I think in one of the games we had 17 rush chances. I forget who. I think it was against Vegas.
Yeah.
And I want us to play that way. I want us to play with risk. And we kind of changed this after my first year here when we had to figure out playing defense, period.
Yeah.
Kind of changed the philosophy of how we're going to play, trying to get to this standard of play. And it requires risk. So I can't talk out of both sides of my mouth. And so I'm not coming down on them. You may talk about certain situations that let's look here. Let's look up, maybe just fight another day in this type of situation. We'll get our opportunities because they're wide open too.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I approach it. Where back in the day, I'm peeling the paint off about thinking about defense. Not anymore.
You just wanted to clog it all up then.
Yeah. Not anymore, because that's just not the way the game's played. And I don't think I want to play that game that way, because it's a losing battle with today's athletes. Yeah. It's a different game. It'll never go back to the grind of it. And we have to make adjustments as coaches. So so it depends it depends on certain situations. If you're an absolute idiot, I'm certainly going to come down on you and make sure you defend the proper way. But if it's give and take and playing with a little bit of risk, I'm not taking that away from them, because I'll be talking out of both sides of my mouth. We're checking forward, we're taking risks, and we need a goalie to make a save occasionally on an odd man rush, and that's his job. That's his job.
Yes. Yeah. And Coley did that in that game.
Yes, he did.
One of the best goaltended games I've seen all year between me and Binnington.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Both of them were terrific.
Unreal.
Yeah.
I'm not a Binnington guy, but he was outrageous.
Oh,
and then the other guy at the other end, seen his save he makes on Couturier.
Yes.
He's got to match it. And it becomes a competition between those two.
Oh, that's a game within the game, those two goalies. They don't care what's going on. They don't know what's going on with the five guys. They're worried about stopping a puck. And it does turn into a competitive situation when you see the other guy making saves.
I will tell you that a goalie will sit there when he's going against another guy he's competing with, and if the shots aren't being kept properly, he had a shot. I made a save there. Save percentage booster.
No question.
Let's get to our dog this week. Our dog this week comes from the PSPCA, and his name is Max. He's a pit bull bully mix, about 72 pounds, and he came to the PSPCA through the animal law enforcement team. PSPCA said the owner was not caring for him, so it sounds like a neglect situation. And he's been looking for a home since August of 2022, far too long. Let me give you some video of Max. Max, a very popular name in the dog community over the years. Look at that. The head is the combo platter.
Yeah.
Just an absolute beauty. Great jowls. He looks good.
Oh, God, yeah.
Still got a little playful puppy energy in him.
Yeah. How old? 6 years old.
Yeah. But see, so a third of this dog's life has been in a shelter, and the other 2/3 was in a neglect situation. So we got to change that. Look at the dog out showing up the belly.
He wants rubs.
Yeah. Absolute beauty. And I'm not going to settle for this dog not finding a home.
Well, the big thing here now is, right, and it's in the notes here. It needs to be with older kids and without other animals, right? And that always puts a little bit of a frame around the dog of not getting out of there. But this is why we do this, right? Yeah. We got to find someone out there that is that person.
Yeah.
And we've done this before with some dogs that have just
Coffee
don't
cake.
have. Coffee cake was a perfect example.
Yep.
And we grinded away and we found a person. This is what we're looking for here. 2 years. A third of his life has been stuck in there.
Too long.
And there's got to be someone out there that is compassionate enough and doesn't want a real busy house with other animals.
Yep.
And maybe the kids have grown up and they're gone, they're at school, whatever it may be, that can bring this dog in. And that's why I hope this touches so many different types of people out there, that we can find someone to help this dog.
At a minimum, as soon as possible, a foster situation.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's get the dog
Yeah.
out of the shelter, and then we can move from the foster to the forever home.
And maybe it takes that foster, as we always talk about
Changes
each week,
personality.
It gives the dog a chance maybe to calm down a little bit. Maybe there is a light at the end of the tunnel, that it can be with another dog. I don't know. I'm not.
We just
trying to
don't know
predict.
in this situation.
Not 2 years in a shelter.
Yeah.
And in that type of atmosphere of just frustration. So
Nonstop barking. This dog's going, I just want a little peace and quiet.
Yeah.
goodness
And that's
sake.
where the fosters come into play. So there has to be someone out there in our audience to help out. Maybe just for a little bit.
Yep.
Maybe it isn't a long time and you don't think it's going to be long, but just to give them a chance to slow down.
Max has a special fondness for snuggling with people. And despite his goof nature, quick learner, working on his training plan with his friends to become the best version of himself. Max has a big smile and a bigger heart, and we know this perfect fit is out there. So again, we're looking for a foster and the forever home for Max. If you're looking for a home where he would be the only pet for now, we'll see if that changes. But you can stop by the shelter any day between noon and 6:30 p.m. to meet Max. Go have him for a walk.
Yeah.
A little stroll with him. All the adoption info is on the Hockey Hounds homepage at philadelphiaflyers.com/hockeyhounds. That's Max. I do want to give an update as well on a dog we featured, Ziggy, I think 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And Ziggy, if you remember, Torts was under a year old, and it was a breeding situation. And we said, this dog's not gonna last.
Yeah.
Didn't last. Ziggy has found a home.
It's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
So
Yeah.
fantastic. We see Ziggy there with his new family. And this Sunday that's the 8th, from 2 to 6, they're going to be at the Red, White, and Brew Beer Company for Yappy Hour. Come meet adoptable pups, buy merch, and enjoy a pint of brewery to all support the life-saving work. And that's the Saturday after. Reduced adoption fees thanks to our friends at Bissell. They'll be celebrating Empty the Shelter with Bissell with $25 adoption fees at all PSPCA sites,
Great.
including Philadelphia Mainline, Animal Rescue, Danville, and Lancaster. And keep PSPCA and Paws in mind on Giving Tuesday. So great news on Ziggy.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to report some great news on Max coming up. I know you had a visitor. Ang came out to the game the other day.
Yeah, the boys met her. A lot of people. Yeah, and saw the scars. But I hope things went. I don't think Ang went to the concourse. I think some of the puppies were up there, up in the concourse. So we're still looking. Yeah, that's a coffee cake one for us, I think. And this is maybe coffee cake too. This one here is, I know there's some challenges just as far as, what we've talked about here, but there has to be some people out there that can help.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Torts, have a great week, albeit less busy, not back in action until Thursday, but have a great week of preparation and hockey coming up.
We wish you the best with your health here.